Côte d'Ivoire's 1-0 win over Ecuador was a narrow result, but it was a rich tactical match. The key question is simple: how did a balanced game, with Ecuador holding 51% possession, become an Ivorian victory in minute 90? The answer is not one thing. It is chance quality, late energy, right-side progression, substitute impact, and Ecuador's inability to convert their good periods into goals. Côte d'Ivoire did not dominate every phase. They controlled the final consequence. The match began with Ecuador showing why they are difficult to play against. They were organized, physical, and comfortable enough to move the ball through midfield. Moises Caicedo took an early shot, John Yeboah and Alan Minda found chances, and Ecuador created several first-half warning signs. Their structure gave them access to advanced areas, and their wingbacks and forwards stretched Côte d'Ivoire enough to make the game uncomfortable. Côte d'Ivoire, however, were never passive. They had 49% possession, 13 shots, 4 on target, and 3 corners. Ecuador had 51% possession, 9 shots, 1 on target, and 5 corners. Those numbers tell us the match was close in control, but not equal in threat. Ecuador had slightly more of the ball and more corners. Côte d'Ivoire produced more shots and more shots on target. In a tight tournament match, that difference matters. The first half was defined by missed opportunities and physical duels. Ecuador threatened through Yeboah and Minda. Côte d'Ivoire threatened through Eli Wahi, Bazumana Touré, and Seko Fofana. But neither team could create separation. That meant the match stayed at 0-0, and a 0-0 game after repeated half chances becomes increasingly tense. Every foul, every transition, and every set piece begins to feel larger than it actually is. One important detail was discipline. Côte d'Ivoire received 3 yellow cards, including Seko Fofana, Franck Kessie, and Guela Doué. That can change pressing behavior because players on cards cannot challenge as aggressively. It also affects midfield duels. Ecuador had only 1 yellow card, through Jackson Perozzo. The match stayed 11-11, but the card distribution meant Côte d'Ivoire had to balance physicality with control. The second half began with Ecuador creating a chance through Ener Valencia, while Côte d'Ivoire responded with shots from Yan Diomande, Eli Wahi, and Seko Fofana. This sequence mattered because it showed both teams were still searching rather than protecting a draw. Côte d'Ivoire then made a decisive set of changes in the 56th minute. Amad Diallo replaced Bazumana Touré, and Ange Bani replaced Eli Wahi. From that moment, Côte d'Ivoire had different late-game profiles. Amad's introduction changed the attacking equation. A substitute winger or forward in a tight match does not need to control possession. He needs to attack tired defenders, arrive in decisive spaces, and execute cleanly when one opening appears. That is exactly what happened. The game became more stretched after the hour mark, and Amad's freshness became more valuable with every minute. Ecuador also adjusted. Nilson Angulo replaced Alan Minda, and later Angelo Preciado and Jackson Perozzo entered. Ener Valencia was eventually replaced by Kevin Rodriguez. Those substitutions show Ecuador were trying to manage energy and structure, but the attacking clarity did not improve enough. Their late corners created pressure, but their shot quality remained limited. One shot on target across the match is the major tactical issue. Côte d'Ivoire's winning goal came from a clear and useful principle: right-side progression. Wilfried Singo attacked the right channel in the 90th minute and provided the assist. The ball arrived to Amad Diallo, who finished to make it 1-0. The finish was the headline, but the structure behind it matters. Width stretched Ecuador. The right side carry forced defenders to shift. Amad's timing gave the attack a clean final contact. In a tight game, one well-timed wide action can be enough. From Ecuador's point of view, the goal exposes late defensive concentration. They had defended much of the match well enough to keep the score level. But defending a 0-0 in minute 90 requires closing the wide channel, tracking the arriving runner, and protecting the edge of the box. Ecuador failed in that exact moment. This is why 1-0 defeats feel so severe. The opponent does not need many mistakes. One mistake can decide the match. The late Ecuador response also tells us something. After conceding, they won corners in stoppage time and pushed for the equalizer. But urgency after going behind is not the same as controlled chance creation. They had pressure, but not enough precision. Côte d'Ivoire even had another Amad shot saved in added time and a late chance through Christ Anao Olai. So the final minutes were open, but the first clean blow had already been landed. The wider Group E context makes this result more valuable. Germany's 7-1 victory over Curaçao created an immediate goal difference benchmark. Côte d'Ivoire could not match that kind of score, but they matched Germany on points. That matters before their meeting with Germany. A team entering that match on 3 points can play with belief. Ecuador, meanwhile, now face Curaçao under pressure to win and repair their goal difference. For Côte d'Ivoire, the positives are clear. They showed patience. They created more shots on target. They used the bench well. They found value from the right side. They kept a clean sheet despite Ecuador's possession and late corners. They also showed that they can win a match without needing total control. That is a useful tournament trait. The warnings are also clear. 3 yellow cards can become dangerous against stronger opponents. Ecuador created enough first-half danger to suggest that Côte d'Ivoire's defensive spacing was not perfect. The team also allowed 5 corners, including late set-piece pressure after taking the lead. Against Germany, those moments could become much more expensive. The performance was strong, but it was not flawless. For Ecuador, the positives are structure and competitiveness. They had more possession, more corners, and enough phases to show they were not outplayed. The negatives are sharper: only 1 shot on target, wasted promising attacks, and 1 late defensive failure. A team can survive a missed chance. It can survive too, but if it continues to miss and then gives away a late high-quality chance, it loses control of the result. If we reduce the game to one sentence, it is this: Ecuador had enough of the match to avoid defeat, but Côte d'Ivoire had enough of the final moment to win. Amad's goal was not isolated from the match. It was the result of patience, substitute timing, and Singo's right side progression. The score was only 1-0, but the tactical consequence was large. So the final score was Côte d'Ivoire 1, Ecuador 0. Amad Diallo won it in minute 90. Wilfried Singo created it. Ecuador's long unbeaten run ended. Group E changed. And tactically, this match reminded us that a balanced game can still produce a clear lesson if you waste the warning signs. The final consequence may belong to someone else.